Have you ever wondered how YouTubers make perfectly straight lines in Farming Simulator 22? Or have you ever wondered what that funny little icon is near the speedometer on some of our videos? I'm going to show you all that and more today with the Enhanced Vehicle mod. So to get started, we're going to be taking out a cultivator here with the Versatile Tractor. We're going to cultivate a field of sugar beets because we don't really want to do these sugar beets anyway. Now, with any of these things where we're trying to do straight lines within the field, or even if you're trying to use a worker or anything along those lines, the most important first thing you want to do is your headlands. Now, the headlands are tracks around the entire outside of the field. Usually we want to do 2, but because this field's nice and open, and because I have crop destruction turned off, we're only going to do 1 headland. So we'll hop in our tractor here. We're going to quickly just run 1 headland across the entire field. So I'll be right back. Now that the headlands are done, hop in the tractor here, and we're going to line up very close to the edge. You'll notice on the right hand side of the screen we've got some visuals from the Enhanced Vehicle mod. And you notice the marker that's changing, that's our degrees. Now this field is perfectly straight and perfectly square with the map. So we're really going to try to aim for 90 degrees here. And we're going to use that 90-degree marker to drive a straight line up the field. As I hit 90 here, we're going to activate it. You see that the steering wheel turns green. This means that my steering is locked to 90 degrees. Now, if I were to turn the steering wheel at all, or to hit any button that would turn the direction, it would immediately go ungreen and it would allow me to turn. But as long as I don't touch any of my steering inputs, it's going to just keep driving perfectly straight. So at this point, I could just activate cruise control. I'm already locked in and just go straight ahead. Now, the other big thing for this is if we want to do lanes. So if you notice, I switched it off real quick and then I activated lanes. And I activated the lanes button. So this way, what will happen is when I get to the end of the field, I can move over to the next lane just by lining up pretty close to what I feel is the next lane and activating the mod again. So to activate the mod and lock us in our direction, it's right control and the end key, right below the home key on your keyboard. Once you get these buttons clicked, it's going to lock you in place and you're going to go straight down that path. Now to switch between whether we're going to be just in regular direction where the steering wheel is just locked or that track, it's right shift and the home key. So the big keys that we're talking about here is the right control and end to lock us to the direction, and the shift and home to switch us between these modes. And really with those two, for the most part, you're going to be good to go with this. The mod is going to automatically calculate the width of the implement or vehicle if you're just using a regular vehicle, and everything will kind of just work. So you see here, I'm lining up to the next line. I'm just kind of guessing here, but as soon as I activate it, it locks me perfectly at the end of the next line. You can see we're just driving perfectly straight here. And now this will work on any angle. I'm going to show you in a minute here how we can adjust the settings so we can do it to different degrees. I've got mine so that it locks within 10 degrees, meaning that it'll round up. So if I'm close to 270, it'll automatically just round to 270 and lock me at that position, or 280 or whichever. A lot of my friends that play this will set it to 45 degrees because they're constantly doing either 90s or 45s. But you can set this to whatever is going to work best for you depending on the fields on the map that you have. Now, as you see, I'm in cruise control. I'm not even touching the steering wheel, paddles, anything. I could literally put my controller down and just let this ride. So as we finish up this line, jump into the configuration menu. Now, to do the configuration menu, we're going to hit the control key and the number pad /. So that's right next to your number lock on most keyboards. And when we hit those two buttons together, we'll bring up a bunch of options. We'll walk through all of those options and how they can affect and change how this mod works. Obviously, you can also change your key bindings to whatever you choose with these. So we'll hit the control and the number pad backslash and bring up the menu here. And you can see we've got just a few settings. So we'll talk through each one. The first one is headland mode. So as you've done your headlands like we did, we can figure out how we want this to work. Do we want it to automatically stop us at the end? Or do we want it to do nothing? Or to just deactivate cruise control? For headland distance, we can determine what we want. So we can say that, or we can have it calculate automatically like it did here. We can have an alarm sound based on how far we are from the edge. We can say whether we want to actually show those tracks visually. We're going to turn those all on so we can look at them. You can hide those lines automatically if you are showing them once you get to a certain distance away, and a time frame for when you have those hidden. This is the snap to angle, as I mentioned. I have mine set to 10. I set it to 45 if I'm going to be doing something like more square fields constantly. This map's kind of got different ones. So here we can see the tracks. I've got 5 tracks as we saw in the settings. So we can see 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And what this is going to allow us to do is to visually see exactly where we line up. You can leave these on. I generally leave them off just because when I'm making content, it just looks a little bit more natural when they're off. But especially when you're starting out, it can help you. It can help you kind of figure out where the lines are visually until you get used to it. There are a bunch of different key commands on the website for this mod as well, which I will link in the description below. And inside those key commands, you can basically hit a combination of buttons to move over one track, move to the next track. You could adjust the width of this track. So really, there's a lot of customization. I've been using this mod for a very long time. As I mentioned before, really only need to lock it to the current direction and to basically set the lanes. So just those 2 key commands from before of the right control and end to snap to the current direction, and right control and home to, right shift and home. So right control and end to snap to the current direction, and right shift and home to change the operation mode. The only other one that is worth bringing up that is a good key command is if you need to recalculate everything. So if you switch implements or if you switch fields, because these tracks will stay here forever if you're in this mode, sometimes we need to recalculate that. So if you ever need to recalculate, you can just hit the right control and the number pad 2. So right control and number pad 2 will kind of reset everything. Go ahead and just turn off these lines real quick, and we will just kind of do one last turn here. You'll see I purposely picked the articulated tractor so you can see how it snaps into position. So you see it kind of whip into place. We'll go ahead and just kind of finish this field off real quick and show you what this looks like sped up in this camera view. And then we'll try something else for fun, and we'll go from there. A lot of times the field isn't perfectly divisible by the working equipment, so you might have just a little bit left, which we'll just go ahead and knock out real quick here. But that's pretty much it. I mean, the mod is fantastic. Works on any vehicle. You don't have to buy any add-ons for the vehicle when you're using it. You just start doing it, and it works on any vehicle whatsoever. So as I mentioned, I will include a link to the website where you can get this. Now this is a GitHub mod, so it's a little bit different. You're going to download the file directly and then just put it into your mod folder, but it is from GitHub. The GitHub page also has directions and visuals, so I do recommend keeping those key bindings up for a little bit, just getting used to them. and you can kind of get comfortable with it, figure out which ones you actually want to use, and then kind of figure out how long you need to keep that. As I mentioned before too, you can obviously adjust your key bindings. So I have a lot of these mapped to my controller. This is, for the most part, I play with PlayStation controllers, so I don't like to necessarily have to touch the keyboard. So I'll just kind of do them through my controller, and obviously link them to a Steam Deck as well. So the last thing I want to do, just real quick for fun then, is we're just going to try this on a regular vehicle and show you what we can do with something that is a little bit more on farm sim, but it might be funny. So let's go and jump into a different vehicle here. Okay, so here we are with arguably the fastest cross-platform mod that I could find quickly. This is the TLX 2022. This thing is wicked fast, and it's pretty funny because it's got tracks. So we're just gonna hop in it, and no trailer, no implements, nothing along those lines. Road's pretty straight here on Elm Creek, so we're just going to drive off and set it perfectly straight and kind of see what happens, see if we can get to max speed here. Give ourselves a little bit of runway to go with. Now I do have traffic on, so you never know what is going to happen. Just about there. Should be good enough. This thing goes 177. Let's see if we can hit that. So we'll lock it in place at 270 degrees here, perfectly straight, and just launch. There we go. Now, what's interesting about this is, even though I'm going to kind of lose it here for a minute, you'll see that the vehicle constantly tries to recorrect itself. I have not touched the steering wheel yet. We're going to slow down a little bit so that this thing can kind of catch up, and we'll slowly add some throttle, and you'll see we're lined right back up to that 270 degrees. So even if you kind of get messed up, this thing will always fix it. That's where we'll leave it. So thanks everyone for watching. Really appreciate it. If this video was helpful for you, please drop a like, subscribe if you're new, and let me know if there's any other content or mods that maybe I use that you have questions on that maybe I can help out with. I would pick this one because this is probably the most common question that we get on a lot of the videos is, you know, what is this mod? What does that thing do? How do I use it? So figured put something quick together for you. That's it for today. Thanks everyone. Have a great day.